Hello, my name is Cynthia Ruiz, and I am joined by the amazing Ivan Estrada. And today we want to talk about the power of gratitude and love in these uncertain times. And guess what? Since we're transformational leaders, we're going to give you 6 steps. Ivan,
Hey Cynthia, how are you?
blessed and grateful.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I am super excited to be here. I was just looking at myself. I'm like, wow, I'm in this whole suit and getup today, which usually is not the case. I am in the real estate world, so sometimes we do have to dress up just a little bit. But I'm excited to be here and share the 6 tips that I have and that you have, and I'm just like super excited to be here.
So let's jump right in. Do you want to share your? Well, actually, let me set this up because the reason we're doing this is we are finding that so many people are overwhelmed right now. And it doesn't matter the age, all generations, people are feeling like it's a lot, with the economy, with the war, with the politics. There's a lot of craziness going on right now. But irregardless of what's going around on the outside, we believe you can still find inner peace on the inside. So, Ivan, what's your first tip for keeping that inner peace?
Okay, so mine are going to be a combination of mind, body, and soul.
Mm.
My first one is we all have like those vision boards that you can create for business where you put pictures of like vacations and houses you want and cars that you drive. But something that I've created that has been very powerful for me is my gratitude board. And I'm actually going to share a piece of the gratitude board because it could be an actual board with a ton of things that you're grateful for, or it could be one big thing. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to share my big thing. So this is a picture of my family. So my mom, my dad, my
Mm.
sister, my nephew, my sister-in-law. And I have this little post-it that says, do it for them.
Oh,
And so I have this on my board, on my wall at my office, and I have one in my closet at home, so that every day that I wake up, right, I remind myself of how grateful I am to have these people in my family. Because look, things, material things, there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's all great. But at the end of the day, what matters, right? What matters? These are the people that when things get hard, I say, things are hard today, but they're in my life, right?
mm.
You're in business or you're watching the news and you're freaking out because of what's going on. You go to your gratitude wall or a picture that you can have in your wallet on your phone and you say, yes, things are nuts in the world. But you know what I have? I have this. I'm grateful for this. This is what keeps me going. This is what keeps me inspired. This is what keeps me in love and gratitude. So I wanted to share that with everybody.
Wow, thank you so much. And what I do, I start my day with gratitude, my gratitude list, right? So I am grateful to wake up in a bed because there's so many people, they're unhoused and don't even have that luxury to have a roof over my head, a nice house, family, friends. There's so much to be grateful. Hey, at this age, I'm just happy to wake up. So there's so much to be grateful for. So I love that. I love the visuals, right? Because, many times when people do their gratitude list, it becomes like robotic, like this. But when you have the visuals, it really brings it to life. So I love that. So,
100%. Like, and what you said, I've always had this like ideology of like different strokes for different folks. Some people like lists, some people are more visual, right? So having something that calls out to you, because it has to have an emotional trigger, right?
mm,
You just said it, Cynthia. So you can just go down the list. I'm thankful for this and I'm thankful for that. Once it loses that emotional connection to you, then there's no point to it. So when you see it or when you read it, when you go down your list, you have to feel that warmth in your heart and your soul, and that's what's going to keep you grateful and in a loving energy in uncertain times.
I love that. So I'm going to jump in with step number two. Step number two, it's so important to practice self-care. Now, that could be, it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as taking a walk in nature. I find that when I get out in nature, in the mountains, wherever, even just sitting next to a tree, that really grounds me and really, I connect to my inner peace. So it could be going out in nature, it could be many things. Self-care, obviously, for me, part of my self-care ritual is I get a monthly massage, but I know not everybody could afford that. So, like you were talking, mind, body, soul. What can you do for self-care around those three items? Ivan, what do you do for self-care?
So one thing that I have to remind myself is, and I have a big problem with this, is control. Like letting
Mm.
go of the things that I can't control. And I say, there's a prayer that I say every morning. It's called the Serenity Prayer. And it starts with, God, grant me the serenity to I don't know why I'm like blanking out. Of course I'm
To
blanking out.
to accept the things I cannot change and the wisdom to know the difference or something like that.
To accept the difference, right? Of course, and I need to know this as I like read it off like robotic from a folder every morning. But it pretty much like the whole point of it is that there's things that we can't control, right? And those are the things that you have to let go of every single day. Like those are the things that you cannot do anything about. So why have them have an emotional charge in with you that could be negative. And so, and there are the things that you can control. And at the end of the day, and things that I've learned is the only thing you can control is how you process that information, right? Like how you receive it. If you let it affect you, then it'll affect you. They always say, like, if you let it affect you, it won't. But if you allow yourself to process it and say, got it, okay, granted, next, then then you're able to let go of that emotional charge. And especially in these times, it's like I've had to let go of control of so many things. And at the end of the day, I think the more I read, it's one of those things that the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And the more I thought I had control, the more I realize I don't have control. Almost over everything, except for how I process things. And I could either use it as a tool for this was a learning tool, or let it affect me and then let that affect me and everything around me and other people. And it's just then it becomes a disaster.
And thank you for bringing up this whole issue of control because I know I've struggled it within my lifetime because you and I are both very successful people in the business world. And so part of that is being a go-getter and doing things and the older I get to realize, the more I realize I don't really have control. So the opposite of control is surrender. So for me, I've really embraced surrendering to each and every single day. I use the term God, creator, universal consciousness. When I surrender into the flow of the creator, that's where the magic happens, right? You think you want to control everything, but sometimes in life, when I give up control and get into that flow, things happen that weren't even on my radar. And I'm like, wow, because I believe that the creator has a bigger view of everything. And sometimes I really, really wanted something and it didn't happen. And later on, I said, okay, you know what? That was actually a blessing that that didn't happen. So, yes, control is something that for me, part of my wisdom with my age is realizing we don't have control. We think we do, but we don't. So, when you get into that flow, it's so much easier and less stressful.
100%.
So, this goes into the next step for me is meditation. So, meditation and quieting your mind. Back in 2024, I went on what I called a spiritual vacation. I spent a weekend with Oprah at her thing. I went for a whole week and spent a week with Deepak Chopra. I went to go hear Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's no longer in this world, hear him speak. And then I at that time I was overseeing a large financial portfolio. So I looked at Ray Dalio, who's a billionaire and he's one of the largest hedge fund people in the world. So I looked at all these real successful people and said, okay, what do they have that I can incorporate in my life? And so what I found with all these successful people that I looked up to, what they all did and what they had in common is they meditated. And at first I was like, wait, all these people, what all you need to do is sit still and be quiet? Well, that was kind of counterintuitive to me, right? It's like, I thought you had to go get it. Well, yes, you do, and you have to set goals, but sitting in silence is really the sweet spot. And if you're not familiar with meditating, just sit there and quiet and focus on your breathing. Do you meditate?
Every day. I've been doing it for, I want to say, a decade. And it's just, at first, I'm a very ADD person. I don't know if you could tell. I'm always all over the place. And for years, I just thought, no, it's not for me. I could barely sit still. It's just not something that I would probably be good at. And it was about a decade ago, same thing that you said, Cynthia. I went to there was a networking, it wasn't networking, it was a convention. It's called the Summit that was out here in Los Angeles. And every person who, from the late Kobe Bryant to Jessica Alba, was the CEO of the Honest Company, other CEOs of Richard Branson was there as well. And the connecting point for all of them were meditation. And I thought, well, if they could do it, I could do it. And it took 6 months, granted, 6 months for me to notice a slight difference. I felt different. Like I couldn't even explain it. I just felt better. And then all of a sudden, a couple of months later, I started realizing, wait, I've been very like calm. Wait, usually things that would either scare me or cause me fear are no longer scaring me and causing me fear, or my brain was starting to go to neutral. So, which is great for me because sometimes, depending on the day and things that happen, we can go and think of negative things and go into a negative mindset. But it kind of put my brain in neutral. And then that allowed me through other things to push it to always trying to keep it on the positive side of things. And so it's been life changing, and it's something I do every single day, at least for 5 minutes. You don't have to do it for an hour, people. 5 to 10 minutes, if that's what you can do, great. I think it's a great start.
Where I had my aha moment with meditation, I belong to a spiritual community, Agape, under the leadership of Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. So I took a meditation class with him. It's more than a decade ago. And he said, when you're sitting there and you get distracted by noise, say, for example, the dog is barking. What I would do is I sit there and like, the dog's barking, the dog's barking, the dog's barking. And so I would give that energy. He said, when you hear outside noises and distractions, just acknowledge it and let it float away. And that simple tip changed everything. So I didn't focus on it and get off my game. I just acknowledged it, whether it be the car horn going off or whatever it was. I no longer became distracted. Say, okay, it's happening, and maintain my focus. So, for those of you that are new to meditation, actually on SoundCloud, I have developed a 3 minute, 5 minute, and a 10-minute guided meditation. So, if you want to start with a guided meditation, you can just look up Cynthia Ruiz on SoundCloud, and I'm happy to share that with you. So, what's your next step to inner peace?
So my next step for inner peace is, and this one was a big learning lesson for me, which is the power of no. Um,
Ooh.
Power of no, because I grew up wanting to be liked. I think also just part of my personality, I was a yes person. And I said yes to everything, even yes to things that I know that were probably harmful for my mind, for my body, for my soul. And so through the last, I want to say, decade, through training, and honestly, I think the reinforcement of meditation and other practices, saying no to the things that don't align with my mindset, with where I want to go in life. It's in a way, setting boundaries from places, from people. from things. And so that's been a huge part of my love and gratitude for myself is saying no to things, even if it's like, for example, I have friends and a lot of fundraising, endeavors saying, hey, we have the thing for the kids and, we'd love for you to donate for the kids. And in the past, I would think, well, I can't say no because I love kids and I don't want them to think that I don't love the kids. And so, but with time, I had to say, hey, as much as I love the kids, I'm gonna have to say no to this, right? There's other endeavors and other things that I'm passionate about that I'm currently where some of these resources are going. And it could also be saying no to people that you know that you probably love and enjoy spending time with, but let's say, maybe a little negative and maybe watching too much media and always want to get into like arguments or talk about, the end of the world. It's okay to say, hey, no, I don't have time to hang out this week, or no, I unfortunately don't have time to jump on the phone with you. So I think that word no is very powerful, and especially in these times, it's something that we have to have the courage to say.
I love that because the power of no is powerful. And all these steps that we're recommending all go hand in hand because I also use the power of no as self-care
Mhm.
because we only have so much energy. And if we give it all out, we don't have the energy for ourselves. So setting healthy boundaries is something that I've learned over the years. And you can't say yes to everything because it just, you're depleted. But the power of no, I think people are afraid to say no because they're afraid that others won't like them. They're afraid that they don't want to disappoint others. So when you take back your power and realize you can't do everything, you prioritize. And when you're prioritizing, sometimes things are going to fall by the wayside. And that's okay because healthy boundaries are so important. So, the next step I want to talk about is the power of connection. In these crazy times, please don't isolate because when people isolate, then they stay in their mind. And sometimes your mind can be your worst enemy because then it takes you to a dark place. It takes you to a place where you're playing out the worst case scenario, doomsday. But as you were talking about, with the gratitude, stay connected to family, friends, community, whoever is your what I call tribe. It's so important to stay connected to them because by human nature, we're people, we want to connect with people. So make sure you're staying connected. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a large number of friends. What it means is that you have to find the people you trust and care about and stay connected. How do you stay connected, Ivan?
I mean, what you just said about your tribe. So I consider myself an introverted extrovert, right? I am a very extroverted person, but sometimes I like to just be by myself or be in a small group. I mean, this weekend I went to a men's retreat. There was 9 of us. It wasn't a huge group, and we bonded. We read a book. We kind of shared on life events and challenges and how we're getting past those challenges. Like that was my tribe. And that was something that I really enjoyed doing. It wasn't 20, 30, 40 people. I don't think it's about quantity. I think it's about the quality of time that you spend with people. And I think you said this, Cynthia, it's you have to find your tribe of like-minded people, right? People that when you're with them, it charges you up, it excites you, right? Although there's so many things going out in the external world, when you're with these people, for some reason, like I felt safe, I felt insulated, I felt protected, I felt bonded. And it doesn't have to be 9 people, it could be one person, right? It could be two other people. Some people, yeah, they like to be around 20 people. I have friends who love being in a group of 20 people, and that charges them and that gives them what we're talking about, right? Community and connection. So I don't think it's the amount of people, it's making sure that even if it's just one person, right, that you just like love going on hikes with, connecting with, going over challenges together and helping each other, I think is very, very important, especially in these times.
So the connection is so important because we talk about gratitude and love. And where do you feel the love? You feel the love with other people. You feel the love with yourself. And so right now it's an interesting time because a lot of people are really connecting to AI, which whether it be Claude or ChatGPT. And I'm all for AI, but make no mistake about it. AI is not a substitute for real human connection. It's a tool and it adds to our life, but don't try to substitute. I have people that I know that they think Claude is their best friend. And so you can have conversations with AI, but I really still think that the human connection is one of the most important things. What do you think about AI and connection?
I mean, it's actually, I've never said this out loud. I was thinking of AI as like food seasoning, right? Like you can't eat seasoning. It's not sustainable, right? It doesn't give you the nutrients and the vitamins that you need. But when you mix it in with meat and vegetables or pasta, it tastes delicious, right? It's like an enhancer, but it's not a replacer. And so I think it's really important for people to understand that AI is not a person. It's a great enhancer. It makes things taste better, but it's not going to get you, right? It's not sustainable as another human soul. I don't think that's not replaceable with a machine. A machine also, with AI, I love that it gives you different perspectives. I appreciate that, right? But the human perspective is irreplaceable.
I couldn't agree more. And I think right now, my perception is a lot of the Gen Z, well, adults too, they're getting confused because they're longing for that connection and they're finding it. But what I do is ask ChatGPT, do you have, are you conscious? Do you have a consciousness? And it'll tell you no. Do you have the same experiences as I do? And it'll say no, because I don't have emotions. But there's blurred lines right now. And again, there's a million ways to find people. If you don't have family, we're close to you, find people with similar interest.
Exactly.
You can go on meetups, you can go wherever. I mean, there's people interested in everything from science fiction to golf and everything in between.
Right.
So, Ivan, where can people reach you? How can they connect with you?
Well, people can connect with me at ivanestrada.com. So that's my website that kind of throws you with there's my book, Brand with Purpose, my course, my TEDx talk, How to Build or Rebuild a Personal Brand, and some of my real estate stuff. And then also Living with Purpose by Ivan on TikTok. And yeah, would love to connect.
And people can always find me at my website, Cynthia, Cynthia Ruiz. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. So we really are just, here to help you transform in your life. And right now in this uncertain world, we just want you to find your inner peace.